Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. We are going to get started. If you could grab your seats. That's my seat. Anywhere else? No. There's plenty of seats. No, I know you used to work here, but that's my seat. This is my house now. The big house is over there. Welcome, everyone, to our Kuykendall ceremony. I'm Andrew Murata, the principal here at the middle school. And what a beautiful day.
Yes.
What a beautiful day. Round of applause to get us started. Man. All right, we are going to start by saying the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. And we have some special guests with us also to sing the national anthem. So let's begin with the pledge, everyone. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remain standing and welcome our singers to the center part of the area here. Amelia Nyland, Lincoln Van Horn, Chase Sotelo, David White, and Anaya Texador, led by chorus teacher Miss Erin Cross, here to sing the national anthem.
Stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Awesome job. Thank you. That was Amelia Nyland, Lincoln Van Horn, Chase Sotelo, David White, Anaya Texador, and again, led by Miss Erin Cross. Thank you very much, middle schoolers. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our annual Kuykendall Awards. This kind of is the event that kicks off our awards ceremony for the spring and right into the end of school. So what a great day to celebrate this outside on beautiful historic Lynette Field. So we're so lucky to have a wonderful day. I know we have some guests here. We'll start here. I think this is HBE over here, right? How about a round of applause, HBE? ASK, sorry, let's start that again. Let's go. HBE and Dakota Duryea right here. Sorry, ASK, Mr. King Creed. I apologize. ASK and winner James Dagnazzi Jr. right here. James, pronunciation, Dagnazzi? Dagnazzi. Italian. I like that. Dagnazzi. My apologies, 0 for 2. Next up, team middle school and our winner, Kevin Mesnick Jr. Middle school is running deep. Mr. Decker's class is here. We got a lot of guests. We appreciate you. I have my two assistants over there. They're going to hold the sign just in case. Gentlemen, I appreciate the help there. We'll take some pictures after at our step and repeat. And then from the big house, Rachel Fuller and her family and the high school. Welcome. All right, let's get started. I'm going to introduce some guests up here. The principals will introduce themselves as well as their student winners. We're going to go with the 2 claps. If this is your first time here, you haven't seen that, it's pretty self-explanatory. When I say 2 claps, you enthusiastically clap twice. All right? 2 claps. All right, we're outside, so we got to bring a little more, a little more spirit there. I'd like to introduce our superintendent of schools, Mr. Mike Rydell. Our assistant superintendents are here as well, Mr. John Tim and Dr. Natasha Walkowitz. Board of Education members, Mr. Bill Harris and Ms. Flo Santini. We have some guests here that are going to speak. He's served a lot of roles in this community. Too long to list here for one, but right now he is here speaking not only as Port Jervis Middle School teacher, but also our mayor, Mr. Kelly Decker. True friend of the program. He spent many nights here, Mr. Fagione, here on Gwinnett. He is our Orange County legislator. He's a businessman here in town, Port Jervis graduate, Mr. Tom Fagione. All right, we will let our principals, we'll introduce one at a time, and they will introduce their guests here. So up to say a few words, our superintendent of schools, Mr. Mike Rydell. I didn't really give direction there. Mr. Mike Rydell, 2 claps.
Thank you, Mr. Murata. Good morning, and thank you, everyone, for attending this ceremony and recognition for these very deserving students. We do have many events throughout the spring. This is really the week that we start kicking those off for recognizing students at the various buildings, at the various levels for various accomplishments. This ceremony, though, this does stand out, and it stands out for a few reasons. First of all, the one reason is that it stands out for because of what it stands for, and that I think speaks for itself. And it's also, it stands out because of the inherent competition to actually be awarded this, and I think we'll learn more about that as the ceremony proceeds. But rather than the 2 claps, which I do appreciate and I think is very nice, I'd like the recipients that are going to be honored today to please stand just for a moment. Can you please stand? Each of our recipients. You're deserving of multiple applause today, and I say we start right now. Can I have a round of applause for our recipients? Thanks. You can have a seat. And it's not lost on me. This goes to what the award stands for. And that, I believe, can also be attributed not only to the compassion and selflessness of these individuals, but also those around them, their families. So I respectfully ask families, parents, guardians, and loved ones that are here with our honorees, can you please stand so we can applaud you, because I think you are in part receiving this honor as well. So please stand. Thank you very much. So last evening we had our National Honor Society induction ceremony, and Mr. Lazaro had a great message to the inductees, and it really resonated with me. Some of the words he said, specifically, it was a message about does one coin make someone wealthy? And the answer is yes and no, right? It's the accumulation of those coins. And so it led me to a quote that I heard. I had to look it up just so I can get the words correctly, but it's by Winston Churchill, and it is, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." And I thought that was similar to the message Mr. Lazaro was getting to last night, and I'll just take it in a different direction. Of course, everyone needs to make a living as an adult, but one's job or career, that doesn't define one's life, but what we give back to others, what we give to our community, that's what makes a difference, and that's what makes a life. So each of you that are receiving the award today, you're in different stages of your time here in the Port Jervis schools, and each of you will follow some levels of a difference in your paths, in your plans for the future. But I'll end with one final quote, and this is from Albert Schweitzer. I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I do know, the only ones among you who will have a really happy life are those who have sought and found how to serve. And I'll close with, I applaud you for finding at such a young age how to serve. And I just ask that you continue this, because that is what will define a great life. And again, congratulations to each of you, and congratulations to your parents.
Thanks, Mr. Rydell. Mr. Decker, if you could come up a second, I just want to give a little introduction. I've seen Mr. Decker speak at many events publicly. He's an excellent speaker, and I've seen him speak in those different roles. Well, recently, Mr. Decker and I got to go to D.C. with our middle schoolers. It was a great trip. I know Kevin was there. And not only did we see all the historic events, Mr. Decker personalized it. He Port Jervis'd it. We're at the Vietnam Memorial. Mr. Decker spoke to the kids about those from Port Jervis that we lost. We're at, forgive me, the memorial with the tilted flag. The Iwo Jima Memorial, and Mr. Decker spoke about the history in Port Jervis of that. He made it special for the kids, not just about D.C., but also about Port Jervis. He is a true representation of Port Pride. He is our guest speaker today here at the Kuykendall Awards. A full round of applause for Mr. Mayor Kelly Decker.
Thank you, Mr. Morata. Most of this is a wing and a prayer, but I just put a couple notes down. So just to define what our superintendent of schools was talking about, was last night was the award ceremony for those who are being inducted into the Honor Society. And from time to time, I'll listen to the speeches, but from time to time I'll steal something from those speeches. And there were actually two pretty good quotes. I didn't look them up. I took what they said down. So they're really kind of like, in my words, in a mix. But I'm going to open and close. I'm going to open with Mr. Rydell, who said that a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And Ted Kuykendall, he actually lived the way. And then I'll finish with, when I finish up, I'll finish up with Mr. Lazzaro's quote. But who was Ted Kuykendall? Because you're receiving this award, and I'm probably one of the only ones here that actually knew Ted Kuykendall. I didn't get to really understand who he was until I was a teenager and in high school, but he belonged to my church, and he was very, very involved. He was not a hometown Port Jervis, so a lot of times people say, oh, you know, you have to be born in Port Jervis, and that is not true. There are a lot of people who have come to Port Jervis, who have made it their home, who have done fantastic things, and Ted Kuykendall was one of them. He was actually born in Brooklyn, New York. He passed away when he was 86 years old, but in that 86 years of life, he did so much for our community. Today, he'd be 104. He'd be turning 105 in November. And some of the amazing things that he offered, besides owning two businesses and employing people, here are some of the things that Mr. Kuykendall did. And when I look at it, I say, geez, I see a lot of parallels in people I know, my life, Mr. Fagione's life, as well as other people who volunteer in our community, and I see these parallels that are also going to match yours. And so, you know, when your parents wake you up early in the morning on a Saturday or Sunday, because Kevin, I know that definitely happens to you, right? And you have to go to this event or that event, or you have to be involved in this or clean up. And Rachel, I know I've seen you at a lot of those events too. You guys, you're going to start. This is the beginning. This is just the beginning for you. And you can actually make a huge impact like they have made, and the people who you are following have made on our community. So Ted Kuykendall was a 3rd Ward councilman. So people say, oh, a lot of people are council people. They roll through councils. But he stepped up and he became a councilman at large. And in fact, in 1960, he did something that was so unique to even 1960, not into the 60s, 1960. You never heard of a group from a political organization running on a third-party line. He and Mayor Cole ran on a third-party line and won here in Port Jervis, changing the dynamics of the political structure here in Port Jervis. And they did incredible things. And it just so happens, I know Trish was out there directing, but I don't see her in here. But Trish Pelton handed me a book yesterday. Lo and behold, it had to do with Port Jervis in 1960, a book that they put together, and I'm in the middle of reading it. It is absolutely interesting of how they designed and what they wanted to see our city look like. He was a charter member of the Volunteer Ambulance Corps. So anybody, if you have ever known anybody to get sick or not feeling well and need help, the ambulance, some of them are paid now, but many of them are still volunteers, and he started that volunteer ambulance corps group. He was a member of some organizations that no longer belong to us. They were civic organizations. What that means is that they go out and they help people. He belonged to the Lions Club and the Port Jervis Taxpayers Association, but he also belonged to the Port Jervis Elks, who's still around today, and kids your age can join what's called the Antlers. The Antlers is a brand new group. I know that we have 3 middle school students that belong now. And it's something that's really going to start to flourish and take hold, to be involved in our community. He was involved in things within the city, like the Port Jervis Urban Renewal. So that is a lot of buildings and sidewalks that they did back in the late 60s and early 70s. He was a police commissioner. He was on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm going to skip this one thing that he did towards the end of his life because it's really people don't understand how important the job is and that they do it all volunteer. He was a member of Never Sink Engine Company #1 of the Port Jervis Fire Department. If you've ever taken 84 to Middletown or to Scranton or to places off of 84, he lobbied to have the exit put here in Port Jervis. If it weren't directly for him going on his own to Albany to fight for us having an exit here, there would not be an exit in Port Jervis. He belonged to the Friends of Recreation that kept green space for our kids to play in. When I was born, he was the president of the board of directors of Sunnyside Hospital. Now, of course, most of you don't even know where that is, but at the bottom of the hill here is Cornerstone. They're doing a fabulous renovation, $5 million renovation. He was the president of Dr. Sunnyside Hospital, and that's where I was born. As I said, he was a member, and this is how I got to know him, in my church. He was an elder, and of course, back then, elders, I don't even think you were supposed to speak to your elders back then. But they were gentlemen. They'd come up, they'd shake your hand, as well as Irv Fletcher, who was the superintendent of schools, belonged to my church. But my church was really actively involved in the community with Dick Avery and Don Marsh, and as well as Cub Scouts was very active, and Girl Scouts and 4-H. We had Mrs. Roner, who is the longest serving den mother in the world. Wow. Lived here, and she got kids out to do things, cleanup days, and being on the radio and just having fun and making our community get better. But most importantly for Mr. Kuykendall was that he was a husband of 60 years. His wife is kind of like people say, what about my wife? Well, my wife is my support. She is my rock. She is the person that has my children going. One of my children is right here today. Some of you know him, some of you don't, the cameraman. But they are our support. He was a father. He was a grandfather who loved his family and made many sacrifices, and they made many sacrifices for him. So what is volunteering about? It's about making sacrifices, but good sacrifices. And here's why. The most important job that he held was vice president of the school board, molding the minds of children. We have 2 board members here today, Ms. Flo Santini and Mr. Harris, and they do it all volunteer. They don't get paid for their job. And they do it because they want to see you succeed. And in return, what do? We want to give back. We want to make our community better. So what I'm stealing from Mr. Lazaro is this: to make your community, our community, better. Get others to help you, because success may not see the work of just one. After another and another joins, we will be defined, and we will have ourselves defined by who we are and who our community is, by making our community a better place to live. And that's the important thing, is you can't do it by yourself. Get your friends to join. Get your family to join. Everybody helping in, pitching in, and making our community a great place to live. Thank you, and best of luck to our recipients and to the rest of the people who are here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Decker. As always, great speech. Okay, it is time for the presentations of awards. And just a little bit about the flow here. The principals come up, they introduce their winners, they give the awards. So there was an incident years ago, and it's grown. Mr. Cancredi and I think it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. One of the trophies smashed on the floor. Kids were screaming, people were running. There was a big news article about it. Mr. Cancredi got 6 stitches. The legend grows. So these are sturdy. The table is set, Mr. Cancredi. It's time for you to present. Good luck. Mr. Cancredi, everybody.
Thank you. How the story has grown, yes. They don't look too sturdy, guys. I don't know. I'm going to stand over here. It was a couple years ago, yes. It was definitely a scene. I want to start by just congratulating all the recipients as well. This is certainly, we love having this ceremony. It's our favorite because it is intimate. You guys, it's really about the students, it's about the kids, and it's about what they're doing for the community. And obviously their classmates are here. So congratulations to all of you, all the recipients. Certainly want to thank Mr. Murata for his hospitality. The place looks great as always. And I think he ordered a nice, beautiful day for us. So thank you again for that as well. And certainly for our guest speakers and our dignitaries that are here today. I'm going to bring James up. James Donyatsi. Come on up, James. He's our award winner from ASK. It's all about him right now, so come on. So, this is, as Mr. Rydell said, this is a very competitive award to win, right? We get the questionnaires back from the teachers, all of the 6th grades. We review through them. The things that some of these students are doing is really amazing at such a young age. And James's questionnaire really stuck out with us. All the wonderful things that he was doing. But first and foremost, he's just so humble and so just goes about his business. And I think at one point I referred to the song, Tim McGraw's song, Humble and Kind, to a recipient a few years ago. And that's, when I see James, it's all I think about is this song from Tim McGraw, that just be humble and kind. Let your accomplishments shine. You don't have to tell anybody about your accomplishments. Just do it. And that's exactly what happened with James. He was just doing his thing, and we recognized it, and that's why he's here today. So, congratulations. It's great. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about James and all the wonderful things that he's done. James is a 6th grade student at ASK. He has participated in several volunteer activities and services for the community, including graveyard cleanup, food deliveries for the local food pantry, car washes, and the Bill Kiger community cleanup. He is a member of the local Boy Scout Troop 1071, where he currently holds the rank of 2nd class scout. During his time as a scout, he has earned the following badges: first aid, archery, horsemanship, basketry, swimming, wood carving, and textiles. Did I miss any? No? Got him? Okay. He is also certified in CPR from the Red Cross and was nominated for the Boy Scout of America Honor Medal for rescuing 2 of his friends that fell into the river when I think it was kind of frozen, right? It was in the winter. Yeah, so he rescued 2 of his friends that slid down into the river and pulled them out. And his goal, obviously, one day is to be an Eagle Scout, and he's well on his way to doing that. His service does not end there. In school, James is the class representative for his 6th grade class. He plays the trombone in the ASK All-County Band, and received the Recognition of Excellence at the 2021-2022 All-County Music Festival. He has been recognized for our ASK Doing Things the Right Way program many times, and his favorite subject in school is math. For fun, he also has time for fun, believe it or not. He likes to play soccer. His goal is to one day become a professional soccer player. He also likes to hike and to ride his bike. And when I was talking to him about hiking, again, I think, it's beautiful what our Port Jervis Outdoor Club did, and we have the watershed trails. And I know Mr. Decker and Mr. Fagion were a big influence in that. Anytime we have students that go out into the woods and hiking or biking, you always want to make sure that they are stewards of those trails, because they don't take care of themselves, right? We as the community have to take care of those trails. So without even asking James, he's like, yeah, we take care of the trails, we do trail maintenance, we make sure that it's clean up there. And again, he just kind of offered that, and it was great to hear, James, who's in 6th grade, just again offer that type of information, and he's up there taking care of the trails as well. He is currently working on his Boy Scout hiking badge, which requires him to do a 5-mile, 3 10-milers, 2 15-milers, and 1 20-miler to get this badge. Is that right? I got him? Wow, okay. So good. I hope you get it. James, good luck with that. He's certainly been a busy guy for us. He's well deserving of this award. I congratulate his parents who are here, and our Ted Kuykendall Award for ASK goes to James Doniazzi. Round of applause, everyone. Now, I'm going to give him the award very carefully. Here, and look at this. I am now going to turn it over to Miss Mesnick from HPE.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Murata, for this beautiful setup here and everybody coming out. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. It is a pleasure to be up here to talk about Dakota Duryea. Dakota, can you come on up? Dakota Duryea from HPE. I know Dakota on a lot of different levels. When I was a teacher at HPE, I knew him as a student who was always around the building and was always polite, always respectful. Fun fact, I live up the road from Mr. Dakota, so I know Dakota as a wonderful neighbor. And now as his principal, I'm thrilled to speak on his behalf as the 2022 Kuykendall recipient for HPE. Dakota is a very dedicated 6th grade student at HPE. He's a son of 2 very proud parents, Brian and Chrissy Duryea, and he's also the oldest of 5 Duryea boys, all who attend HPE. Dakota was selected to receive the Kuykendall Service Award based on his volunteer work, his commitment to our school, and his outstanding community service record. As a member of the Faith Reformed Church, Dakota assists in putting together shoeboxes for Operation Christmas Child, an organization that sends items to children in need. And he also assists in making birdhouses and Valentine's Day cards for residents in nursing homes to enjoy, and he also sings in his church. Dakota spends time traveling to Scranton, PA with his uncle to help people in need by handing out food and clothing. He can also be found cleaning up trash on Earth Day with his family. And like I said, I'm his neighbor. I live on the road. I've seen him out there with the Duryea family picking up our road. So thank you, Dakota, for that. Dakota's commitment to extracurriculars activities include Tri-State Wrestling. He's been a member of for 6 years. Travel and youth baseball for 6 years. 4 years on youth football. And he runs 5Ks for many different charities. Dakota enjoys staying active and plans on participating in sports for many years to come. His commitment to his school community includes chorus, 0-hour PE, yoga, strumming strings, and Dakota plans on staying involved in school activities as he travels to the middle school and to the high school. In Dakota's words, when he was applying for the Kuykendall Award, Dakota stated, I think I would be a good candidate for the Kuykendall Award because I'm very respectful and have good manners. Whenever I get a chance, I volunteer to help those who are less fortunate. I believe in God and treating others kindly. I help my parents with my 4 younger brothers and do weekly chores. I am a hard worker and focused on being the best version of myself. Volunteering helps me feel like I'm a good citizen and happy that I am able to help people. And Dakota, your words couldn't be more true. It is a pleasure and an honor to know you and to know your family. For all of these reasons, we at HBE are very proud to award you with the Kuykendall Community Service Award this year. We know that you'll continue to do great things for our community, and you will excel when you go to middle school. So, everybody, Mr. Dakota Duryea. And I believe it is Mr. Murata's turn.
Just so they don't break, you know? All right. Great job, elementary schools. Port Jervis Middle School is up next. Mr. Kevin Mesnick Jr. Round of applause. Come on up, Kevin. Good to see you. Looking good. Looking good. I did want to give a shout out to our custodial staff as well, getting all this set up. Our cafeteria staff here. And certainly we want everyone to stay. Kids, you stay. There's cookies, drinks, and stuff afterwards, so don't run away. And certainly a great spot to take pictures, okay? All right, so Kevin Mesnick Jr. Is our winner. We talked about speeches earlier. These gentlemen were quoting each other's speeches. Mr. Rydell says a lot. He said it Tuesday at the board meeting, the 3 A's, the arts, academics, and athletics. Well, here for Kevin, I tweaked it a little bit. I went with the 3 S's. School, sports, and Mr. Rydell said it earlier, selflessness, right? And that's what that volunteering is about. Kevin has a 98.4 average here at the middle school. Round of applause. He's taking both the advanced algebra class as well as the living environment, both Regents exams here at the middle school. He's a very strong student. 98.4 doesn't come easy. Kevin is a member of multiple sports teams. He's a middle schooler, but he's on the JV baseball team, and he's also a member of the modified basketball. I got to see him play multiple times. I think the floor at ASK needs some redoing. Kevin was bouncing the ball so hard, running so hard, so intense. He brought such intensity out there. It was so impressive. I asked his coaches to say a little something about him. They didn't name captains on the JV team, which are made up of freshmen and sophomores, but they said Kevin would have been a captain as an 8th grader based on what he demonstrated. They said, Kevin is a student athlete in that order that you wish the whole team was made of. On the field, he works extremely hard and gives his all in both practices and games. He is humble and a team player, but isn't afraid to step up on any occasion. If he's able to give advice or help out another teammate, he goes out of his way to do that, and he does it in a positive, respectful manner. He's respectful to his team, the other teams, and all the coaches. The other teams, right? When teams come to Port Jervis, when we go to other schools in the county, we want to represent. We want to represent Port Pride, and Kevin is doing that in the classroom and with sports. In talking with Kevin, he wants to go into sports, all right? Athletic directing, coaching, athletic administration. He loves sports and he wants it to be part of his life. Again, lastly, the selflessness, right? Serving other people and the community service that Kevin has done. Kevin is a caring and dedicated student. He's been heavily invested in community service and helping other people. He wrote in his essay for the Kuykendall Award, when you help others, it helps you feel good. People have supported me my whole life, and now I want to do that for others. Some of us don't realize that until we're much older, right, Kevin? How old are you?
14.
14. He realizes that now that he wants to give back because he's had such great role models and people serving him. Some of the activities that Kevin was involved with. involved in. He helped at ASK, the Sports Summer Enrichment Program. And again, Mr. Dubatoka spoke about how Kevin interacted with the other kids, right? Sometimes when kids help other kids, it's not cool, right? They're just kind of there. And Kevin engaged with the kids, helping them, encouraging them. He was selected this year as one of 2 representatives from Port Jervis Middle School to the Junior Leadership Orange Program, where Kevin got involved outside of Port Jervis doing a number of community service activities, making blankets for animal shelters. He wrote cards for seniors. He volunteered at HBE in the fall carnival. He was the umpire. Yeah, sometimes the umpires have a hard time, calls and balls and strikes. He was HBE, the trick or treat event, the Elks Christmas party, all these events that Kevin was a part of. Thank you for those that commented on the red shoes today. I wore these on purpose. It's not a Port Pride Friday, which we usually break these out, but I wore them today. I'm a big fan of Mr. Rogers, right, kids? Mr. Rogers is a little past your time, but when we were kids, Mr. Rogers was there. And one of the things that Mr. Rogers used to say was, when there's a problem or a situation, you look for the helpers, right? Mr. Decker was just talking about Mr. Lazzaro's speech about you get others to help you, right? You don't just do it alone. You look for the helpers, like Mr. Rogers said. Well, what an honor to be around such great helpers like James, Dakota, Kevin, and Rachel. You guys are modeling what helping others looks like. So, Kevin, I wore these shoes for you and your family here to represent for being such a great helper. Thank you for showing your Port pride and giving back to other people. The 2022 Port Jervis Middle School Ted Kuykendall Award winner, Mr. Kevin Mesnick Jr., everybody. Picture, hold on, you people. Get the picture, We'll take some more over there. The shoes. Up next, high school principal, Mr. Anthony Lazzaro.
Thank you, Mr. Marauder. I love the shoes. They're very nice.
Thank you.
Maybe it's something I need to bring to the high school. Probably not. So, first off, I just want to, again, echo the comments of everyone here. Congratulations. It really speaks volumes of who you are, of your families. And one of the things that we've been really looking at deeply in the high school and that I believe deeply in are the habits that we develop and how that leads to our character. My bad, I could have borrowed that here. To character. And each of you have really demonstrated your character. And so I'd like to speak about Rachel Fuller. So, Ms. Fuller, can I ask you to come up? I know you're reluctant, but I will. I heard you talking about it with your friends. But I will say, Rachel is a person of poise and compassion that extends beyond her years. I've gotten to know her this year. It's been a while, and just a real asset to an amazing asset to our building. Like a quiet leader in so many ways. So I just I'll go over this, but I'm going to read because I don't want to make sure I don't want to miss anything here. So there are young adults who put forth their best effort in everything they do. They approach each day as a challenge. They see each experience as a growth opportunity. They look for positions of leadership, not to pad resumes, but to place themselves in a position to connect and help others. And then there is senior Rachel Fuller. Driven by a pursuit of excellence and a desire to serve, Rachel tirelessly gives of herself and is involved in all aspects of Port Jervis High School. Her long list of titles includes Senior Class Parliamentarian, Secretary of National Honor Society, Secretary of Port Jervis Chapter of Students Against Destructive Decisions, and President of Interact. Additionally, she is involved in youth and government, was a bell ringer during the holiday season for Salvation Army this past 2021. She has involved herself in several community cleanups. I think Mr. Decker had mentioned that, right? You see her often. And each month, she volunteers to bag and hand out food for those in need at her through her church. Rachel also competed in our varsity cross-country team and is passionate about the arts. I'm not sure if I'm from Brooklyn, right? Same as Mr. Kuykendall. So I had no idea what cross country was until I came out here. Right? So it was cross city and run for your life. So, and I grew up in a nice neighborhood. I'm not saying it, but and I miss Brooklyn. So no, I really don't. But cross country is quite an event, right? It literally is, a race through the woods, through a trail. And when I think of what Rachel accomplished, is I can understand why she does this cross-country piece, right? It is her movement through her life and she takes on each of these challenges and it's not a sprint for her, it's a true marathon, and she has paced herself in such a way to be successful. And I said to her when she received this, I mean, like, this is, I have a feeling that this next few months you'll be one of the students that we'll be heavily honoring, right? So this is just the start for you. While for most of us, a week is 168 hours long. I was an English major. Rachel did help me with that math. A week is 168 hours. Somehow Rachel has discovered a way to squeeze in additional hours into those 7 days, because she has also found time to work at Ben's Fresh. She was the star of Snoopy in our spring musical, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and performed as a narrator in the winter presentation of Christmas Carol. And finally, she is the class of 2022 valedictorian. And we were talking about averages. I wasn't sure if I can disclose this. Can I say averages out loud, right? So 99.5, right? I'm rounding up by whatever, but that's amazing. I don't even know how you get a 99.5. How weighted average, can I say weighted? Wait, because I was curious about this. 109.5, right? So I think I just try to put that into some measure of perspective of what that means and the type of, and that's amazing. You're up to a tremendous start, right? 99.8 point, right? So amazing efforts, right? Oh, one thing I did neglect, and I apologize. So with all this, you would come to the football games, play trombone at the first half of the game, and jump into to the concession stand the second half of the game. So just all around involved in our community, giving back, and continues to do so. So Rachel will begin her post-high school education. I'm going to say this wrong, so if I do, I apologize. Rensselaer, all right, Polytechnic Institute this fall, where she will study biomedical engineering. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. And Rachel's humility, kindness, compassion, truly inspirational. Rachel, congratulations on receiving this award. You're awesome. And congratulations. So I'm going to make sure, how am I paranoid about this next part? I was going to have you just grab it. Are we doing pictures? I won't be offended if it's no. All right, so I'm turning it over back to Mr. Martin again. Thank you for having me here. I could have sat there. It would have been nice, a nice gesture on your hat.
You always have a special seat here, Mr. Lazaro.
I know.
Yeah, good speech. All right, we are wrapping the events up here. We did come out here the other day and try to get the sun, so I know these pictures are going to be the sun behind. So I definitely want to make sure before everyone runs away, the superintendents, our winners, we get over to the nice banner there that Mr. Tim so nicely allowed us to purchase this year. So, students, I am going to bring up our next guest here. He does have some certificates of merit. He is a representation of Port Pride. I know he doesn't really want to say anything, so would you like the students up here, Mr. Fagione? How do you want to handle this? Students, if you could come on up, he is going to do a presentation of certificates for you. So why don't we kind of line up here in front, and then here he goes.
Thank you, Mr. Murata. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. I don't have much of a speech, but I'll tell you this. This afternoon, I will sit in the legislative chambers in Orange County government. I will be representing the 18,000 residents of the town of Deer Park and the city of Port Jervis. And so my job is to represent you at the county level. I'm here today because these four individuals, these four great young people, represent the best of our community. I'm proud to be here today. I've learned so much about your four lives, as young as you are, and what impact you've done for our community. When I go to Goshen this afternoon and represent us, I'm going full of pride because of what you guys are doing here in our community. The measure of wealth in a community can be measured by the assets and the value of properties, but the true measure of this community is seen here today with these 4 young people, their families, their friends, and their classmates that are around them. I'm humbled to be here. Thank you all so much. Congratulations to all 4 of you. Thank you.
All right, guys, if you want to come on up, Mr. Fagione, you can give it to him in a handshake here. James, you want to come up? Dakota, Kevin and Rachel.
That's my school. I went there way back in the old days. Man, I saw you carry a boulder up the mountain. That was awesome. And Rachel, you're cut from good stock. I know your pop. He's a pretty good guy. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. So there you go, guys. Thank you all so much. We'll get that.
Yeah, we'll get the picture in front of the thing. All right, this is going to conclude our ceremony. Kids, continue. It's a journey. It doesn't end here. You heard some great words of encouragement. It doesn't end. Keep your journey. Rachel, you're leaving Port Jervis. You're moving on. Continue to do great things. And students, we look forward to many great years ahead with all of you. So that being said, one more round of applause for our award winners. All right, and before you run away, we want to get some important pictures. I asked Miss Davis to be here, Port Jervis graduate. If she can come make her way over here. If we can have our superintendents, our guests of honor, that way the kids don't run away. And then you could take pictures with your family, your friends, your people. But let's get those first pictures. First, we'll put the music on. Kids, help yourself. There's cookies, there's water. And let's serve our community. We're going to help our custodians, too. We're going to stack these chairs for them when we leave. So help yourself. We'll put some music on and enjoy the beautiful day. Thank you, everyone, and go Port.